The Dixon Gallery and Gardens is an art museum here in Memphis, Tennessee. We have artwork that travels from all over the world to be shown in our gallery spaces, and the artwork is always changing, so there's always something new to see. We also have a beautiful garden outside filled with all different types of plants, flowers, and trees.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Danielle.
We work for the Dixon Gallery and Gardens, and our job is to teach people about the museum and the gardens outside.
Today we're going to create an art project with you inspired by the Dixon. Let's get started.
Although the Dixon has art that travels from all over the world, we also have a permanent collection. A permanent collection is the art that the museum keeps. And at the Dixon, ours is really big, with over 2,000 objects. Let's look at just a few of the different types of art we have in our collection and learn what they all mean. First is abstract art. Abstract art doesn't look like anything from the real world. Instead, it has shapes, colors, forms, and lines. Some abstract art is really colorful, and some is black and white. Some of it's drawn on paper or painted or collaged, and some of it's even sculpture. Let's look more closely at one of these examples of abstract art from the Dixon. This abstract painting is really colorful. Take a look at all of the shapes you can find. I see lots of circles and squares and triangles. I see lots of different types of lines like wavy lines and curved lines. But it doesn't really look like something from the real world. That's how we know it's abstract. Another type of art we have at the Dixon is portraits. A portrait is an image of a person. This can be a self-portrait, where the artist has drawn themselves, or it can be a portrait of another person. Portraits can be drawn, they can be painted, and again, they might even be in the form of a sculpture. Let's look more closely at one of these portraits. This one's really bright and detailed. Not only do we see a person, but we see the garden in the background, the teensy little butterfly they're reaching for, and the fun hat with the flowers and the feathers. Next is landscape. A landscape is an image of the outdoors. The landscape could be during the morning, it can be a nighttime scene, it can be summer or winter, maybe it's in the mountains, or maybe it's in the forest. As long as it's an image of outside, it's a landscape. Let's look at one more closely. This artist chose to do a painting of, I'm not sure if it's a mountain or a volcano. What do you think it is? But in your landscape, if you were to draw one, you don't have to have the same thing. As long as it's an image of the outdoors, it's still called landscape. Finally, there's still life. A still life is an image of objects. At the Dixon, most of our still lifes are vases of flowers or fruit on plates and bowls. But it can be a picture of any object, like your toys or your art supplies. If we look more closely at this one, you'll see that the main object is a vase of flowers, but the artist added other details too, like the curtains in the background and the bird out the window. Now that we've looked at lots of different types of art, let's create some of our own. Today we'll start out by drawing 2 pictures, but when we're finished, those pictures will be able to spin and rotate inside of this fun picture plate display. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take a paper plate and divide it in half by drawing a line straight down the middle. Now that I've divided my plate into 2 separate halves, I'm going to draw one picture on the top side. Think about all the different types of art we learned about today. What kind of art do you think I'm drawing now? Let's see, there's a blobby shape, some triangles and circles, but it doesn't really look like anything from the real world. It's an abstract drawing. But do you have to draw an abstract? No, you can draw whatever you like. Once you finish your first drawing, flip your plate around and start another. Try to make this drawing different from your first one. If you drew an abstract first, maybe your next one is a landscape. Or if you drew a portrait, maybe your next work will be a still life. Next is probably my favorite part, time to color. As you color, fill in the whole plate. Don't leave any spaces, not even where you see the ridges or the bumpy part of the plate. Now that your 2 works of art are complete, let's decorate some frames. To create our frames today, we have a second paper plate with 2 rectangles cut out. Draw your frames by adding lines and shapes around those rectangles. You can make a frame with a little swirl on each corner like I did, or maybe your frame is made out of zigzag lines or wavy lines. I decided to add teensy little labels next to my artwork today because that's how we display art in the museum. Once you've drawn everything, color it in. Now that I've finished decorating both my art and my frames, I'm going to put them all together. This tool is called a brad. What you're going to do is stick the pointy end through the holes in the center of your plate, and when you flip it over on the back, you can take that pointy end and separate it. Have it do the splits on the back of your plate. That'll hold it together nicely. Now we have a spinning art display. Great job, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll visit the Dixon soon. And as always, stay creative.